on shoulders, and we're going to start in a seated position. So I'm hoping that you can find comfort in your seat and a nice alignment in the spine. Now, even though we're talking about shoulders today, keep in mind your shoulders do not operate in a vacuum. Your shoulders operate based on what's coming from the foundation. So we're going to do some foundational work first. I like to strengthen the hips. I like to open up the side body and really bring some breath work into this before we actually start trying to stretch the shoulders. So let's start with just a bit of a centering. You might want to close your eyes in this seat. You might want to notice your breath moving in and out through your nose. And you might want to become aware of the effect of gravity on your body. Noticing how gravity is kind of pulling on your bones, particularly the bones of your seat and your legs. And just kind of giving into that grounding if you can, noticing that seat. And when sometimes we really feel the solidity of the earth beneath us and we really feel that grounding, we feel that we can start to relax a little bit. We can release some of the vigilance. And sometimes that holding or that vigilance translates to shoulder and neck tension. So letting your seat be quite heavy, letting your legs be heavy, your arms be heavy. And we're going to just begin a little bit of gentle movement from here. So as you inhale, roll forward over the sitting bones. And as you exhale, roll backward over the sitting bones, almost as if your pelvis was a rocking chair. And you're doing a gentle rocking forward. Hi, Cindy, welcome. And back, and forward, and back. So notice my upper back, my shoulders, my neck's not moving very much. This is really about the lower part of my body, the pelvis. Okay. I'll take one more breath like this. And then letting yourself center right in the tippy points of the sitting bones. So you're not at the forward point, you're not at the back point. Your pelvis is perfectly aligned, and you might be using a chair to find this, perfectly aligned to the ground. And then we're going to find stillness here and begin to become more aware of our breath. So you may decide to close your eyes so you can focus better. And I'd like to introduce perhaps the chance of using a little imagery here. If you could imagine that when you breathe in, someone's pouring a goblet of beautiful white light down through the crown of the head, through the center of your body, and it fills into the pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, you gather up this goblet of white light and you suck it all back up, and it comes back into the goblet above the crown of your head. So it's like the crown of the head on the inhale gets poured into, and then it's like reverse motion. We turn the video backwards and it fills back up into the goblet above the top of your head. So if you want to, you can use that visualization with the next few breaths. And I'll be quiet so you can think about it. And then from this seated position, let's roll over onto our backs. I'm just going to have my blanket underneath me because I'm on a hard surface here today. Bend your knees. Let your spine be fully supported by the ground. As you inhale, take your arms up and stretch them as far back as you can. And as you exhale, gather one knee in towards the chest. Inhale. Stretch your arms back. exhale, gather the other leg in towards your chest. And let's go back and forth a couple more times. No need to hurry. Let's do each leg one more time. Inhale, and as you exhale, draw both legs halfway into your body and let your hands rest on the knees. As you inhale again, separate the knees, begin to circle around, and exhale, gently touch the legs together. Take your time, timing each one of these circles with your full inhale and exhale. After 3 breaths in one direction, let's switch it around and go in the other direction. And after you've completed 3 in that direction, we'll pause for a breath and roll over to our side and come up to a standing position. So I might have to adjust my computer a little bit. So come to mountain pose. There we go. That should be better. I'm going to get rid of the blanket on my mat here. I want to talk a little bit about the movement of the arms in the arm sockets. Okay. So when you're ready, we're going to take the arms and lift them up softly. So don't try to get them to shoulder height. Don't, be too aggressive with this. And have the sensation that you're trying to tuck the arm bone back into the shoulder socket. So sucking the arm bone in and then relaxing. You might time that movement with the breath. So notice the elbows are softly bent. I'm not trying to lift the arms all the way to shoulder height. I'm just practicing how to bring the arm bone into better contact with its support system in the shoulder socket. So doing that 2 more times. And then let your arms rest. These are skills that we're going to repeat and build into postures repeatedly today. I'm going to turn my back. Please excuse my back. But I want to really activate some muscles that go around here called the serratus anterior muscles. They really help us in plank pose and weight-bearing poses on the arms, but they tend to be rather weak on a lot of us. So I want to work on that a little bit. I want to activate them with a free range of motion here. So I want to take our arms out again in this soft lift. And please excuse my back, but I'd like you to pay more close attention to shoulder blades if you can. And when you're ready, we're going to take an exhale. We're going to open the shoulder blades away from the spine, bring the arms a little forward. And then on the inhale, we're going to bring the shoulder blades into the spine and hug the arm bones back in. So this is the exhale, shoulder blades separate. Inhale, shoulder blades come back towards the spine and arms move back in space a little bit. So it's not about moving the arms a lot. Keep as much tension out of the arms as you can and focus a lot on the shoulder blades. So especially this movement where the shoulder blades move away from each other and you feel some engagement here. So you might have to drop your arms a little bit to really feel some engagement here. So that's an important skill. And let's put all this together, adding in a little bit of information about the collarbones. So lifting up the arms softly, keeping it relaxed, pulling the arm bones into the shoulder sockets, abducting the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades come apart from each other, and then widen the collarbones. So you feel that action all together? Relax and try it again a couple of times. We're trying to build some real body memory here of how to hold the arms in weight-bearing postures. So relaxed arms, pull into the shoulder socket, the shoulder blades come apart, in activating these muscles, and then widening the collarbones. They're subtle movements, but do you feel how your shoulders are stabilizing? Let's take this into table pose. So you're welcome to use a chair if table pose works better with a chair for you. This way, in fact, if you have sore shoulders and you're struggling a little bit with that right now, maybe a chair is a good plan. So let's put these principles into play in your table pose. So first of all, relax your arms. If your elbows are locked into an open place, it could create a lot of tension for your shoulders. So let your elbows bend ever so slightly, especially my flexible friend, really flexible friend. And then take the arm bone and plug it up into the shoulder socket. So lift the arm bones into the body, just like you did in practice. Now take the scapulae and pull them apart from each other. So widen the upper back. Feel the muscles right here at the front of the rib cage kind of activate. You're pushing your hands actively into the floor or the chair. Now widen the collarbones. Can you feel how your shoulders have just gotten so much stronger, so much more activated? Now let's come into cat-cow with that. Hold all that in your arms as you inhale, lengthen the spine, and exhale, flex the spine. Try maybe 3 more breaths. Really keeping that focus on that arm bone alignment, the shoulder blade alignment. So sometimes when we do cat-cow, we let the shoulder blades move in and out or bang all around. We're holding them stable today. Good. And then on your next exhale, you're welcome to push back into prayer pose. Or if you're using the chair, it would be a modified down dog. And if your knees are really tight and it's hard to hold prayer pose today, you can come forward into table and then push back into prayer. Taking a couple more breaths, either holding prayer pose or down dog static or moving, your choice. Okay. And then let's come to stand in mountain pose. And we'll do a couple poses that you're very familiar with, like a sun salutation. And we'll just kind of keep this in mind from the position of the shoulders and that stabilizing influence that we were working on. So let's come to the front of the mat. Find your mountain pose. Do whatever little adjustments that you do so that you're very aware of the feet grounding into the earth and the stability of your hips. Know that the health of your shoulders is built from the bottom up, so you have to really be thinking about core. And then when you're ready, we'll come into a little bit of half moon stretching. So inhale, lift the arms up, and exhale, move to the side. Going back and forth. So the first thing to think about is weight staying equal in both of your feet. Keeping the muscles wrapped around the pelvis so there's some grounding there. You're not winging way out. You're keeping some stability in the core. And now let's bring the arm awareness into this. So pull the arm bones back down into the shoulder sockets. Widen the shoulder blades away from each other. And then widen the collarbones. The subtle difference. I think I've gone evenly to each side now. So I'm going to come back up to center, and as you exhale, come into your forward fold. Inhale, come into half lift. Exhale into forward fold. Now you could be using a chair for this, no problem. One more breath. And on your next inhale, let's step the right leg back into lunge. So I'm showing with the chair this morning. You could be knee on the ground if that's better, if you feel quite confident being on the ground. You might want a blanket underneath your right knee if that's an issue for you. Okay, so we're going to come into a little bit of twisting here. And I want to see if I can really bring the twist up through the whole spine. So I'm going to inhale nice and long. exhale, gather the belly muscles in and move my whole rib cage over to the left. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale, rib cage moves to the left. So notice I haven't involved my arms at this point. I'm working only with twisting through the core. See if you can do that for 2 more breaths. We'll bring arms into it in a little while. Good. All right. Then when you're ready, inhale back to center. Step your back foot forward as you exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, lifting all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Let's do that on the other side. Inhale, bring the arms up. Plug the arm bones in, widen the scapulae, widen the collarbones. Exhale to one side. Inhale, center. Exhale to the other side. Inhale, center. We'll come into our forward fold as we exhale. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, drop the left leg back into the lunge. So if I were doing a lunge on the ground, I wouldn't have the chair. Right now I'm using the chair. And let's come into the twist. So inhale, spine is long. Exhale, we're twisting just with the body, not with the arms. A couple more breaths like that. You can have your hand on the chair for extra balance if that's helpful for you. On your next inhale, looking forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lifting all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Now, if you're using a chair and you prefer to take a seated mountain pose for a little rest, that's fine. Otherwise, just stay in your regular mountain pose. And then please to turn to the side of your mat, so you're facing the long edge of your mat. Take your feet out fairly wide from each other. The heels a little further apart than the big toes. So you feel a little pigeon-toed. We're gonna do a little bit of work in Warrior 2 this morning. So turning the right leg bone out so that the right toes are facing the short edge of your mat, and letting the knee bend so that the knee is right over top of the ankle and it's facing in the same direction as the toes. Now remember the initial work we did with the arms. Let's work with that now in Warrior 2, because often we get sore shoulders trying to hold up our arms. So here's something that we can do just to kind of warm up for this. Inhale, open the palms out in external rotation. And as you exhale, turn the palms under. And try that movement a few times in time with your breath. You're moving your arms freely as best as you can here with no real aggression or strain. Just noticing that the arm bone itself is rolling around in the shoulder socket. Good. Then let's stay in this position for a moment, keeping the elbows a bit soft, and then plug the arm bones back into the shoulder socket. So instead of trying to reach way out to the corners of your room, plug the arm bones back in. Now take the shoulder blades on your back and widen them. You'll feel a little bit of engagement with the muscles around the rib cage here. It's subtle, but it's there. Try that a little bit. There you go. And then widen the collarbones. Now turn the palms, just from the elbows down to the tips of the fingers, turn the palms down. Keep the shoulders that strong. Now looking out over that right middle finger. Can you feel more stabilized in your shoulders, I wonder? Take a breath in and out. And then we can release that. Shake out a little bit, bring your feet parallel. This might be a lot of muscle engagement in your shoulders that you're not used to using. So be gentle with yourself and take more rest if this is feeling fatiguing. And of course, a lot of the problems that we have in our shoulders or the restrictions that we find in yoga is because of the way we're born. Our ligaments might be a little shorter than someone else. Our range of motion different. And if you force yourself to try to get your hand way behind your back and grab a hold of something, then you could be pulling on things that shouldn't be pulled on. So free range of motion today, lots of gentleness, but some structure, some discipline. Let's turn the left leg bone out, come into warrior two legs on this side. And remember, the shoulders feel safer and more able to stabilize when we're strong in the core and in the hips. So one way you can achieve this in warrior two is to isometrically drag the 2 feet in towards each other, right and left feet kind of coming together. They don't actually move on the sticky mat, but you'll notice that you have a sense of wrapping that happens here when you use that isometric work. And that will help to stabilize your core and give your shoulders more confidence. Let's do the movement where we inhale and exhale a few times on this side, trying to really let your shoulders be loose if you can. Let the muscles allow the humerus bones, the arm bones, to roll around in their capsule. We carry so much tension in the shoulders. So you want to just kind of loosen it up a little bit if you can. And then we'll stay in the open position. The palms are up. And we'll plug the arm bones back into the shoulder socket. So it's this kind of thing happening. And then widening the shoulder blades on the back, but then the collarbones. Turn from the elbows down to the fingertips, then turn to look down your left middle finger in your warrior two stance. So it's not the widest arms you've ever had. I had a teacher call me on this once, that I was being aggressive in my warrior two by really trying to reach out to the ends of the room. Let's relax. Take the feet into a parallel position and loosen up a little bit. We'll step the feet together. And if you have a strap or a tie or even a towel will work. The prop I have out here is a stretchy band, which isn't the most ideal, but that's what I carry in my outdoor kit. So grabbing a hold of that. We're going to work a little bit on strengthening the muscles that will support these really tight muscles up here. The upper trapezius, they're usually like iron on me. So I'm going to work on the muscles a little bit lower than that with this next move. So excuse my back again. I just want to be able to demonstrate this. You want to have the palms facing in towards your body. And take a hold of your tie or strap so that you feel that there's a tiny bit of tension on the arms, but the elbows can still stay a tiny bit bent. And that you can really like kind of pull on your strap or your towel or whatever you have going and really feel the muscle engagement on the outside of the shoulder here. So the movement on the inhale is to pull the hands apart, push them down towards the floor and widen the collarbone. On the exhale, relax. So from the side, this is what it looks like. Inhaling and relaxing. This is what it doesn't look like. Inhaling and relaxing. So I'm exaggerating. We want to keep our core nice and toned, nice and gathered in as we really work the muscles between the shoulder blades. So the movement is pull the hands apart, push the knuckles down to the floor, collarbones widen. Now you can keep moving dynamically, and if this is new work to you, maybe you want to really progress and really get a lot stronger, we can hold the movement so that's hands pulling away from each other, knuckles pushing down towards the floor, shoulder blades coming towards the spine, collarbones wide. We can hold that for about 5 or 6 deep breaths. And you will probably find that you're getting quite fatigued in the muscles in your upper back. Typically, a lot of us have weakness there. And if you find that you want to work on this a little bit more concentratedly, you might do this several times throughout your day, especially if you're in a position where you have to work on a computer a lot right now, or if you're concerned about curvature in your upper back, or you have pain in your shoulders. So I'm making sure I'm keeping my feet well grounded into the earth. I'm making sure I keep the hip muscles wrapped around the pelvis so I feel nice and supported. And I'm just going to take one more breath here. I don't know about you, but I'm getting really tired. And And then we'll let go of the strap for now and shake and shimmy out in any way that would help you feel more comfortable. Take a deep breath in and out. Okay, let's come back to our sun salutation flow. And I'd like to introduce a little bit more arm movement. I'm going to work with the chair. If you prefer to have your hands on blocks and be closer to the ground, that would be fine too. So coming to your mountain pose at the top of your mat. And then when you're ready, inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, flow to one side. Inhale, come back up to center, and exhale, flow to the other side. So we're incorporating our half moon stretch. Inhale to center and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, let's take the left leg back first this time. So we're into our lunge pose again. You can be on the ground using blocks or using a chair. I'd like to use some props here because we're going to move the arms a little bit, and I want to be able to feel I have lots of space to do that. So when we're ready, we're going to take the right hand to stay on the props. Did I say we took our left leg back? Okay, good. Left hand stays on the prop. Right arm is allowed to move. I get confused whether I'm mirroring or not. And then we're going to move a little bit with the right arm. So inhale, lift the right arm up alongside your ear, stretch long. Exhale, come back around. So nice big circles with the arm. But let's bring in some of the principles that we've been using when we're working with the arm. So don't let the arm bone pull too far out into space. Keep tugging the arm bone back into the shoulder socket. Keep the elbow kind of soft. And really start to focus on the shoulder blade here. Focus on the shoulder blade rolling around on your upper back. So it's not about how big your arm circles are, it's how you're really moving the shoulder blade. Let's take one more breath here. Nice stable legs. And then staying in the twist. So front knee bent right over top of the ankle. Not too much weight on your left hand. You don't really even need it actually. And then just 3 breaths. As you inhale, looking back down towards the floor. As you exhale, gently turning the head to look up over the right shoulder. And this is a free range of motion that's very easy. Relax your jaw. And then when you're ready, we'll exhale, step the feet together into forward fold. And inhale, lift all the way up. And exhale, bringing ourselves back into mountain pose. Okay. So I'm going to do that on the ground on the other side, but you can still use a chair if that's what your preferred way to do these things would be. When you're ready, inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, take the right leg back into the lunge. This time the left arm will get to move. So as you inhale, arm comes up alongside the ear. Exhale, it moves back. So you want to keep in mind the principles we've been working with here so that the upper arm bone is not flung out into space. It's hugged and cradled in the shoulder socket. Elbow stays a little bit soft. And we think really a lot about that shoulder blade, how it's dancing around on the upper back. So the movement of the arm is coming from the movement of the shoulder blade. You take 2 more breaths like this. And it's not about really big arm circles. It's about really liberating that shoulder blade. Inhaling, and then as I exhale now, maybe I'll hold the twist. And we've got 3 breaths here. Inhaling, looking down at the earth. And exhaling, slowly turning the gaze comfortably, not forcing. Let the lower jaw swing freely. There's no tension in the jaw. like you have a big Rip Van Winkle beard. And then on your next exhale, stepping forward into your forward fold. And inhale all the way up. And exhale back to mountain pose. Taking a breath. Then we're going to bring some of what we've been learning into some plank pose action. So if you have some wall space, I'm going to invite you to step over to your wall. I have a little bit of brick wall space here, so I'm going to turn the computer so we can watch, see what's going on. We're going to stand in mountain pose facing our wall. You don't need a very big section of wall, so any wall will do. And place your hands in front of your shoulders as though you were doing plank pose on the floor. So if I were doing plank pose on the floor, I'd be about this far away from the wall. I'm standing straight up and down from the floor, because plank pose, you're supposed to be parallel to the floor, right? And I want my arms, my hands in line with my shoulders and a little tiny bend in my elbows. We've been working on that all through our class today. Now, without really weight bearing at all on the wrists or the hands, take your upper arm bone and plug it back into the shoulder socket. So we practiced this in table pose earlier. Plug the arm bones back up into the shoulder sockets. Widen the scapulae on the back, and then widen the collarbones. And so you're just kind of pushing actively into the wall. We're staying in plank pose at this moment, pushing actively into the wall and incorporating all of those details into how you align your shoulders. Take a deep breath. Really feel your legs here. This is something we lose in plank pose sometimes, is the awareness of our strength in our legs. So if you really start to press your feet into the floor, feel the leg muscles wrap around the bones, feel the hip muscles wrap around the hips, feel your whole body engaged. You're not really weight bearing. Perfect. All right, we're gonna leave the wall. We're gonna come back to the ground. Let me readjust my computer here. So let's come to table pose. Now, if you're using a chair for table pose, that's perfectly fine. We're going to come back to table pose and repeat what we did earlier. So from table pose, we're going to take the hands right underneath the shoulders. And for some of us women, even half an inch or an inch forward is fine. I'm going to bend the elbows ever so slightly. We want energy to flow through the arms. And then we're going to plug the arm bone back up into the shoulder socket. We're going to widen the scapulae and widen the collarbones. Almost imagine that you're trying to drag the hands closer to each other isometrically. And you might feel even more engagement in that serratus anterior area. Okay, we're ready to take this into the test. Let's take one leg, stretch it out behind us, and tuck the toes into the floor. Notice that you can really draw awareness to your leg strength and core strength, just like you did in your wall plank a moment ago. Drop the knee, come back to table, do the other leg. Now I'm going to keep going with this progression. You can take rest whenever you need to, sitting down in your chair, laying down on your belly, or whatever you need to. Okay, so we've charged up both legs. You might need to take a little break, roll the wrists around, make some movement with the fingers, get some energy into the hands and the wrists. And we might take this into full plank now. Any of the stages, any of the steps that we've worked on up till now, wall plank, table pose with a chair on the ground, or one-legged plank, are all really good places to stay if you feel like you have more work to do there. All right, if we're going to full plank, we take our elbows into a soft position. We're going to plug the arm bones up into the shoulder sockets. We're going to widen the scapulae on the back, at the same time widening the collarbones, stabilizing the whole shoulder girdle. Isometrically, draw your hands a little closer together on the mat activating the muscles of the serratus anterior. With that nice stability through the shoulders, take one leg back, charge the leg up, and then take the other leg back. You're in plank pose. See if you can hold for about 3 to 5 nice deep breaths. It's like you're pushing the floor away from you, just like you were pushing on the wall. You may be pleasantly surprised how strong you feel in your upper back and shoulders. So many of us ladies think we don't have very much upper body strength, but you have a ton. You just need to learn how to use the equipment. Whenever you're ready for a break, you might want to either sit in your chair or press back into a prayer pose. And then while you're in the prayer pose, give your wrists and fingers and palms a little massage. That's a lot of weight bearing on the hands, I know. Great work. And then let's all join each other on the floor, lying on our backs. So as we get down onto the floor here, you'll want to make sure that you have a blanket and a pillow. You want to do a little bit of a rest pose later, and I don't want you to have to go searching all over for stuff. And you're welcome to use a block for bridge pose. You don't have to have it, but if you have it, you can. So let's lie down onto the mat, feet aligned pretty close under the knees, and I might choose to use a block, but you don't have to. This is the version of bridge pose where we can take our arms back behind our head, and hopefully we're going to release a lot of that upper back tension, even though we're working on strengthening key muscles in the upper back today. I want to make sure that we finish class with them nice and relaxed. So if it's troublesome to hold your arm back here, this is where a pillow or blanket might come in handy, and you can prop where the arm can move comfortably, and then you can join in and not have any strain in your shoulder. So you might want to experiment what propping you need behind you for this. And let's start with just one arm. So as we inhale, we lift the hips and take that one arm back behind us. Exhale, lower back down. And we'll do that for 2 more breaths. And then when you inhale this time, you can lift the arm up, but then leave it there. It's on pillows or blankets if needed. And lower your back by itself. And feel free to take a lot of time as you exhale and lower the back down. And on the next exhale, we can lower everything together. And we'll just pause here. You may notice a difference between the 2 sides of your back. When you're ready, we can move into the other arm, same methodology. Inhale, lifting up. And then you're supporting the arm behind your head so it doesn't go all the way to the ground if that's not comfortable for you. And moving slowly, no rush. And then this round, we can leave the arm back, either supported by pillows or blankets if we need that, and lower the hips by themselves. This tends to move right into those really tight areas in the upper back, really teaching our spine how to articulate in areas that don't get enough movement sometimes during the day. And on this exhale, we can lower back down both the arm and the hips. Now you have an option of resting there, just staying where you're at. Or we have the option of having both arms move at the same time. So if you want, we can go into that together. It'll be the same rhythm. Inhale, both arms lift. Exhale, both arms lower. So if you're really tired and you're done with bridge pose, don't worry about going all the way here. Sometimes our shoulder strain is because we push too hard overall in life. It's our personalities. Sometimes you have to know when to take a break. Now this time you can leave the arms back here and lower the hips by themselves. And this really does provide a much deeper sensation in terms of articulation through the thoracic spine. So you can take your time and really feel the mobility of your spine. Be willing to allow that. And then this last time, our arms and hips can come down together. And then I'm going to ask, once you get down here, just to stay, not to do any counter pose right away, just relax for a second. And then let's go back to what we did at the beginning of class. So inhale, take your arms back. Exhale, hug one knee in towards your chest. Inhale. And exhale. Just go back and forth a couple more times. And then inhale. As you exhale, lift the legs up halfway, touch the knees, and begin a few circles, just like we did at the beginning. Nice, slow circles in time with your breath. And make sure you reverse directions like we did before. And then rolling over to your side and getting set up for a little bit of a shoulder stretch relaxation. And depending on the props that you have at your disposal, you can do this differently. So I've got a blanket here that I'm going to use to help support the length of my spine. Change the fold of my blanket. Pool noodles work really well for this. So if you have a pool noodle handy, you can use that. So I'm taking my blanket and I'm folding it into this kind of rectangle a couple times so that I'm left with a fairly narrow, long support. So you may have a blanket at home that you can use for this, or as I said, a pool noodle works. And if you don't have a blanket that you can use like this, you have a second yoga mat, a beach towel. And all of us are built a little bit differently, and different levels of support will feel different for different people. You may also want a little pillow, or I find a rolled washcloth works really well for the curve of my neck. And then the other thing that you'll probably benefit from would be something under the backs of your knees. So I've got minimal props out here today, so I'm just going to focus on this along the length of the mat, making sure it's folded nice and smoothly. And then I'm going to come so that I'm actually sitting on the floor, and the first little edge of the blanket will be fitting into the lumbar area of my spine. And I'm going to lie back on the little blanket that I've created for myself. It's not very high, it's very subtle. And you would put a pillow or cushion underneath the backs of your knees and stretch your legs out. As I said, I don't have that luxury out here today, but that would be better. And then you may want to create a little support for your neck. So I'm just going to fold my blanket up ever so gently so that the curve of my neck just feels the kiss of the ground. I'm not pushing on my neck. I'm not trying to stretch it or anything. I'm just supporting my neck. You may need a small pillow under your head if you get a bit dizzy if your head's too low. And then in terms of arm position, I have a couple different suggestions. One, you could just let your hands rest on your belly. This is probably the most neutral position. You could also do Shavasana position where your arms are rolled open and palms facing up. Or this would be like, you know, for our caffeinated friends, for people who really need to do a super duper opening on the shoulders, would be in cactus arms. So I'm going to take the middle ground today. So take some time to adjust the supports underneath you. And then relax the weight of your bones into the floor. Feel the pull of gravity on your body. Just take 2 or 3 really nice deep breaths. Preferably in and out through the nose. And notice the movements of your body against the blanket, whatever you've got underneath you, as you breathe deeply. Take one more last deep breath, trying to create as much shape change between the inhale and exhale as you can. And then let go of trying to breathe deeply. Just breathe whatever way seems to make sense. Let your natural intelligence begin to breathe you. And allow yourself to feel comfortable and allow yourself to start to feel relaxed. Sometimes we forget how to be relaxed. Sometimes our vigilance, difficult to let that go, even for a moment. And while you rest in this position, I just wanted to read you something. I think we've talked about this together before, but one of my teachers writes, the shoulder and the pelvic girdles are the means for implementing action. Our competence in the physical world depends on proper functioning in both of these areas. Both interact with the spinal column and our overall alignment, but it's the shoulder girdle that connects the creative expression of the hands and arms with the core of our being, the heart. Our shoulders provide a means for us to reach out to others. Only when the shoulders are free to move can we effectively open the wings of the heart and transform our feelings into actions that benefit the world. In this position, the shoulders are invited to relax completely. And the muscles that normally tighten and armor the heart are invited to let go a little bit. In our current reality of not being able to hug very many people, you maybe have forgotten the ability that your arms and shoulders have to express your heart. So in the last few minutes we have together in this practice, maybe let yourself remember who you are at your heart. maybe in the privacy of your own home, safety of your own yoga mat, you can feel the ability to soften through the heart. And if you find that this practice, as we move to the heart of the matter, is a very emotional time for you, know that that's perfectly okay. In fact, it's maybe really good, because we do feel things. And if your shoulders have been tight and sore, if you haven't been in a position to be able to really express your heart with hugs and things like that, maybe there's a lot you need to work through right now. And that's okay. It's a good time to do it. If you need more time to stay in this little gentle shoulder stretch, then you take all the time you need. If you are ready to move on with your day, may I suggest that you gently activate your body, bend your knees, roll to your side, and push to a comfortable seat. Stay on your side longer if you need. And we'll come to the same seat that we started class in. Could be your chair is fine. And you might choose to close class by bringing your hands together in a prayer-like position at the heart and just kind of feeling gratitude for our shoulders and our arms. My teacher calls them the wings of the heart. And then let's express all that we haven't been able to express yet in our class by sharing the sacred sound of Om. I'm inhaling now. Namaste.